It's the old Doctor Who show, episode number 132, The Dominators. I'm in charge now.
Go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. You couldn't control my mind before, and you certainly can't control it now.
Would you like a jelly, baby?
The TARDIS, when working properly, is capable of many amazing things.
Reverse the polarity of the neutron flows, and the TARDIS will be free of the force field.
But the TARDIS is more than a machine, Stephen. It's like a person, you see.
Resulting reaction is Are you ready?
Eric is not in the mood for shenanigans today. He's all business.
I'm all business.
All day.
It's all business all day. It's the old Doctor Who show is what it is. It's not business, unless that business is being entertained, because that's what we do. You get up every morning. You get up at 9:30. You wait for that text. That text comes in. Ding. It's Dan. When are we doing this goddamn nonsense, he says. I don't know. Let's just get it over with. All right. And then we're back on the computers. We're throwing the computers on. We're firing up the mics, warming them up. Feel that warmth on your hand. And then the voice comes out. It's the old Doctor Who show, your classic Doctor Who review podcast, coming in tri-weekly format. That's every 3 weeks, right out of the oven. From the roaster to your coaster. Nope, that's not. That doesn't make sense. Dan, Dan. Oh, the voices.
See,
this
is nice. I could just sit back and relax and just let Eric take charge.
We're here to talk about what everybody has been waiting for. 3 weeks ago, you listened to the end of the old Doctor Who show. You went into your cryogenic sleep chamber, waiting for the next episode because you're dying to find out what was Jared Leto doing in House of Gucci. I'm not sure.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
I actually started House of Gucci. I like Ridley Scott. I'll pretty much watch any Ridley Scott film. I don't always like his films. For the most part, I do. I was intrigued by House of Gucci. I saw about 40 minutes of it. A couple of things. Adam Driver, adorable, very charming. He's always great. Lady Gaga also. Totally, she can carry a scene. And a lot of you are saying, well, I remember her from The Sopranos, when A.J. Soprano and his friends busted into the school and they threw a bunch of stuff in the pool. And you're like, who is that young lady sitting on the bleachers? It was Lady Gaga.
That's probably where she's most famous.
That's what she's known for.
That's where most people know her. From,
yes. No, we're not here to talk about that, but they're great. They're fine. The movie's a little all over the place. You get into the Al Pacino territory, and you're like, pump the brakes a little bit. Like, there's a little bit of, Al Pacino-ness going on. And then you get Jared Leto, and you're like, who let this happen? Like, he tanks the movie. Like, he just turns it in, like, who thought that was okay? You can recast people. I think Hollywood doesn't realize you can cast people with different body types. You don't have to take Jared Leto and put him in 18 hours of prosthetics so that he could not look like Jared Leto and then chew on all of the scenery. He's not great in it, Dan. He's not great in it. I'm not a huge Leto head. So maybe that's some baggage coming in, but I from what I've seen, maybe it all turns around.
Coming at you, you should just watch your Twitter mentions because you're screwed now.
I know the Leto heads are coming after me. I did not. What a can of worms he opened up. Yeah, so I don't. The Morbius fans, they're all going to be coming out of the woodwork. It's fine. I'm sure he's a fine person. Although you read some stuff and you're like, I don't know if he is a fine person.
I'm not sure he's a fine person. I mean, that's you're taking a lot of faith there.
So you did not see it. Like, as a campy kind of film, it's kind of
I'm looking forward to it.
Good. The pacing's kind of a little wonky. But I'm enjoying it, I must say. But again, I've only watched 45 minutes of it. It's like a 2.5 hour movie, so who knows where we're gonna go. But Adam Driver's great. He's got a smile, lights up the room, right?
And we're back with the Adam Driver fan cast. You got your two hosts here. No, I'm looking forward to it. One review that I heard or read about it said that it felt like no two actors thought they were in the same movie.
That's possible. Well, I will say the Lady Gaga Adam Driver dynamics works well. I would say they feel like they are in the same movie.
Oh, well,
whatever Al Pacino's doing is like Al Pacino's acting, and if you're near him, maybe you're in the scene together, but if you weren't in the same room, he's still doing the same thing. He does that Al Pacino thing that he kind of settled into. I don't know when that happened. When was the switch over?
I think it was what was the Hoo-ah?
Yeah. Yes.
One.
Yeah.
That movie.
Scent of a Woman.
Scent of a Woman. Yeah,
Once he switched to yell all of your lines, then things got a little. He's a fine actor, though. I mean, look at all the great films. Dog Day Afternoon, that alone.
Dick Tracy. Dick Tracy for a little.
I never saw Dick Tracy.
You've never seen Dick Tracy?
Hold on.
Okay, guys. We're taking a left turn here. We'll come back to Dominators next week. Right now, we're going to go watch Dick Tracy.
Yeah, I don't know how I never saw Dick Tracy. And as a kid, I was obsessed with it. Like, I remember the build up to it and seeing like the ads in Rolling Stone, and because I was a comic book fan. I never read Dick Tracy, but I was like, at that point, anything comic book related was like a gift that you would, oh my God, a big budget movie that has something to do with comics. And then Batman had come out, and then it was like, why am I going to watch this, what looks like a terrible movie? Is it a good movie?
I saw it when it came out, loved it. I've seen it since, loved it still. I haven't probably seen it in maybe a decade and a half or so. It is available for rent on. That's the only place it's.
I feel like
rent.
they should just hand it to you. Speaking of, like I just watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure last night. Still a great movie. One of the best. One of my favorite. Why am I blanking on his name? Why am I
Paul Rubens?
Not Paul Rubens. I was like, the guy and the only movie I could think of that he directed was Dumbo, and not like Ed Wood or Big Fish or Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Or
keep going.
Keep going. Henry Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas. It doesn't get enough credit for it, but it's a story by Tim Burton.
He got there, folks. I didn't even have to help. That was great.
Yeah.
Dumbo? Really?
I know. I'm trying to think of Tim Burton's name, and the only thing that popped in my head was freaking Dumbo. I mean, and we're lucky I wasn't saying Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. Nothing to do with Tim Burton, but for some reason that's in my head. Wondering to myself, I think I liked that as a kid.
I loved that movie as a kid. Loved that movie.
Is it still hold up? Because I looked for it. Not. It's on Amazon Prime or one of those.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should make my kids watch that. And then I was like, what if it's terrible? It's got a terrible title, but I remember liking...
Cock ring.
What's that?
I don't know. There's the line about the cock ring.
Okay.
Remember that?
Now, Gleaming the Cube. I mean, this is now becoming the Christian Slater Slatecast.
This is Slatecast.
That I imagine
Welcome back to the Slatecast.
I don't know if I even liked that film when I saw it.
No, I didn't really.
So I'm not sure how that will hold up. But probably Christian Slater's interesting because he's in Heathers. Great movie. I like True Romance.
Yes.
Pump Up the Volume I liked. He's an interesting character.
That is an underrated film. I mean, Patricia Arquette in that as well.
She's the greatest.
Incredible. Who was Elvis in that movie?
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer is Elvis. I mean, what a cast! It's incredible.
Balky doing the cocaine. Like, it's got it all. It's got it all.
Which makes me think of
Brad Pitt with the weed, smoking the weed, and James Gandolfini in one of his first, go right back to The Sopranos, one of his first roles. He is the one. Do you remember him? He fights Patricia Arquette, and then he's like the hitman, and the two of them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yeah, that's James Gandolfini, R.I.P.
One
of the best actors
in a long time. So what we're gonna do?
Dominators,
is watch
right?
Dick Tracy, and then we watch True Romance. Then what comes after that?
Dick
Cleaning the
Tracy
Cube, just to see.
is Dick Tracy directed by Warren Beatty, or is he just in it?
Oh, I think he produced it, but I don't know if he directed it. Let's see. Nope, that's cast.
Speaking of Warren Beatty,
this is good.
You
This
know
is
what?
fun. This is
Speaking
good.
of Warren
he
Beatty,
did. You were absolutely right.
He did.
He did direct it. Yeah.
he also directed one of my favorite Warren Beatty films, the one where he raps with Halle Berry. That movie
Bulworth?
is great.
Bullworth.
Bullhorn.
Is that right?
Bull
Bullshit?
something. That's a movie that
Baloney.
no one ever mentions again.
Why would they?
I don't know. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no,
I
is
thought it was
Bullworth.
great.
Yep.
This urine is great.
This year is great. God, how did I forget that?
All right, we got to get through it. I feel like what's happened to you this week? Come on.
Oh, who cares?
You must have had something happen. Everything's always happening to Dan.
Nothing's ever happened. I'm still up in the wilderness.
You're in Vermont?
I'm still here enjoying the beautiful weather. It was ungodly hot down in the New Jersey area. It was beautiful up here. Still dealing with the wilderness. We're on their land. It's to be fair.
Yep.
It's not their fault. No. But no, things are good. Nothing to report here. Things are great. Eric, what is new with you?
I don't know. I thought maybe I had some things to say for the old Doctor Who show that I was like, oh, make sure I mention this. Can't remember any of that. I got to keep better notes. I'm fine. How are you? No,
We just did
I think I talked already that I saw 45 minutes of House of Gucci. We covered that.
What else is there in the world? What else is there?
We all know how I feel about Titane. That's covered, well documented. Princess Irulan photos are out with Florence Pugh. Yeah, so that's all. We covered all that stuff. I can't think of anything else. What else do we got? We got nothing else but the
Eric,
Dominators.
Real quick, let's get into Dominators.
Okay, let's
Let's
hit
just do
that
that.
button and get us into the Dominators.
Command accepted.
Command prompt.
Oh, look, I think we'd better get back. Zoe will be wondering what's happening.
Well, this is interesting, yes. Obviously an interstellar spaceship of considerably advanced design.
Oh, no, you're not thinking what I think you're thinking, are you?
That, I think, Jamie, depends on what you think I am thinking. Hey, Doctor! Doctor!
Jamie, don't do it.
Doctor, look!
Oh, my word.
This is the Dominators, Dan. This is the first serial, season number 6, lucky number 6, which is funny because season number 5 was tragic. This is written by Norman Ashby and directed by Morris Barry of the time. What happens in the Dominators? Well, there is a planet full of radiation, an uninhabitable planet that is used as a warning to others about the dangers of nuclear war. But then a very aggressive species of Dominators lands, and they switch it, turn off the radioactivity and turn it into nutrients or something. And they prove that pacifism is for wusses, hippie culture is nonsense, and girly men will never go anywhere. So start buying guns and shooting other people before they shoot you. This is the NRA's Dominators, paid for by the military-industrial complex and brought to you in 5-part segments. Dan, what did you think of this propaganda? What?
It was so well executed, I didn't even realize that I bought 3 guns by the time I was done with the first episode. It's so weird.
At one point, Zoe says something like, we all need guns. It would be easier if we had a gun.
She does say the only way to stop the quirks with a gun is have a Zoe with a gun.
Yeah, you need a good quirk with a gun to stop the bad quirks.
I think we're done. I think we nailed it. Oh, Eric, did you ask me something?
Yeah. What did you think of the Quarks? No, you know what I forgot to say
Think
is
of the
what
Quarks.
year did this come out in? That was not in my notes.
This one came out
It's
in
1960 something.
1968.
1968. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, it feels very close to the Summer of
But
Love.
hey, yeah, you definitely see some social commentary going on. All the men are in dresses, and
Yep.
yeah, whatever. It's fine. I'll get to that when I guess I
Well,
do my
calling them dresses is really overselling it. They were.
bit. Yeah, they're more like the
curtains.
lampshade. Like if you took a
lampshades.
lampshade
Yep.
and then
Yep.
said, "Hey, turn that into an outfit, but only come to the lower part of my boobs."
Yeah,
Not all the way
like
up.
a-
No, just
just enough.
just
Well,
in a spot like not at the waistline.
No. You wanna-
Yeah,
if they
somewhere in
rib
between, so
cage,
it's really uncomfortable.
I don't want to be able to sit down and breathe at the same time. So, hey, so what did I think of this one, Eric?
Yeah, what did you
Oh,
think?
that's for me. That's for me. I actually didn't mind it.
Okay.
Which is damning with faint praise. I thought it was a fine episode. I enjoyed many pieces of it. The Dominators themselves, the what do you call it? Click and Clack, the Tappet brothers.
Yep.
Is that who they were?
Yep.
What do you call it?
Cargo.
Rago and
Rago
Toba.
and Toba.
Or Rago and
Toba and Rago.
They were a lot of fun. I liked their playful-
inability to turn their neck. Like that was
Well, I mean,
because of
that's
that
physiology.
costume. It's just there's no neck movement there.
You don't know what that costume is hiding. They might just be all neck.
There
They may
could
not
be
actually-
other heads like Little Rago, like like a Quado situation.
Right,
but
they only
on
come
the-
out for celebrations
Right.
on like holy days. But kind of Cardassian in that way. They don't. You're not a Star Trek
Yeah.
person.
No, I
They-
don't
they
know Star
can't-
Trek.
They can't.
But-
turn their heads. Almost kind of Romulan as well to me. They kinda
Yeah,
do
and
that
then
way.
the one of the heads can pop up and go, "What are you gonna do? Ban cars? Cars kill more people than guns." And then you just put them right down.
Those are just NRA lobbyists throwing out their shoulders. Folks, we're a little preoccupied in America right now. Anyway, I love them.
Yes.
They were very interesting. The Quarks were interesting.
Hmm.
I had to watch it with subtitles because I couldn't understand what the Quarks were saying most of the time.
Yeah, I
So
watched
had
it
to
with
turn that on.
subtitles as well.
Really,
I couldn't understand a lot of things.
It was, I mean, they do that all the time with the robots, and they give them that kind of electronic sounding voice, but it's also really high pitched.
Yes.
Just not an idea, no clue what they were saying. I love this Doctor with these two companions so much. I love Zoe. I love Jamie. They both had plenty to do. Jamie saves the day, but there's still like the playful banter between the Doctor and Jamie, saying like it's a plan so simple, only you could have thought of it. Like that's a great line. And Jamie's kind of reaction, little slapsticky. Really enjoyed that. The production design was good for the most part. The story was fine. The jumping back and forth between like the capital city and having the whatever it is, the councilman and that whole. I guess it just every time we did that, it really slowed down the whole story. But I guess that was what the point they were trying to get to, is the stuff that was happening there, but it didn't really feel like it was necessary to me, honestly. I don't need a moral lesson in this. I just want fun monsters. Anyway, generally good. Eric, what did you think of this?
Well, I thought it sucked. No. Yes. I mean,
No, I
yes,
think
I
you're right.
did
You
not.
did think it sucked,
I didn't
yes.
really like it. It opens up. You get a bunch of spaceships flying through space.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the opening scene, I believe. The sound of the spaceships going through space, I'm pretty sure, is the same sound that the like those beetle things make in the Dark Crystal. That's when after that it went downhill. I
That
didn't
was your high
like.
point.
I didn't the anti-pacifism, like anti-hippie, stop talking when we could be killing message that was felt very heavy-handed, and like every scene was designed just to show talking about a problem is silly and these stupid bureaucrats and we need action, and having like the Doctor and Zoe and all of them be pro like immediately kill everything seemed sort of against all of the other stuff that we've seen from the Doctor. I also, you said you love these companions. I do not like Troughton. I don't think I like Troughton. I feel like that's something I just struggle with because he's often just like playing a child. Like he always feels like a scared child who's whining about everything. And a lot of the times, like, he'll say, like, oh, like, it's an act or whatever. I mean, there's sometimes when he's fine. But anytime there's even a hint of, like, of a stressful situation, he just starts doing that whiny, what do you do? And it just gets, like, intense. And I'm like, I don't want to spend any more time with this guy. Like, I want Pertwee. Pertwee would be judo chopping these chumps. And doing all sorts of stuff. He's not going to sit around whining and like, oh, I don't understand. And like Hartnell, even Hartnell to me is a better Doctor. I know people are mad now because he is a beloved Doctor, but I don't want any more Troughton. Right?
He's done with the Trout.
Especially in this one. I felt like in this one he whined more than he has in quite some time. I don't mind Zoe. I like Jamie. That stuff's fine. I mean, their team is sort of incompetent. Like, anytime there's a situation, somebody usually bumbles it. Whether it's all the way in episode 4 or whatever, where that, what's the one character? I can't remember his name. The guy that's like the son of Jarrell.
Cully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cully's about to take the shot and kill the two
that part
things, and then all of a sudden Jamie interrupts him, and then they can't. So it's like there's lots of scenes where the team just screws things up. It's fine. I felt like Cully though was super creepy in the beginning, right? Where he's like he's talking to that woman, and they show that woman, and he's saying like, "Oh, spending long hours in this ship with me." He's very weird with women. I feel like, and he's that way towards. I think her name's Tolada or Tolida. Doesn't matter. You're not with her very long. She instantly gets killed. I thought the choice of how they filmed and edited the death of his three companions in episode 1 was very cool. Like you saw, like it like cut to a still of their face, like almost like a portrait shot, and then that was kind of interesting. And I was hoping. Maybe the direction would be like that all the way through, but it wasn't that artistic that I remember later on. I felt like the pacing is terrible. As the story goes, it's like it could have been 4 parts instead of 5 parts. There's those long scenes where they're deliberating what they're going to do, and they're all dressed in those almost like Greek robes, but also
I guess that's kind of what they were going for. Yeah.
I took it like it was like, oh, they're like anything feminine is therefore weak, and they need to be more manly, and let's screw these hippies. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. 67, I'm thinking about some angry, like, apologies, Norman Ashby. I imagine Norman Ashby is just mad. It's like Junior. Not that Norman Ashby is an insult, but I haven't seen the data. Maybe Well, not really entirely sure. Well, at this point, I don't know what happened. I'm talking about something, and then we had a mic issue, and then we had to try to save it, and things were going this way and that way. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. So we're just going to drop us back in a little bit in the future. I don't think we missed much, but here we are. So when they capture the Dulcans, they run some tests, and they say, oh, these Dulcans have 2 hearts. Therefore, they're the upper class or the smarter class. But the Doctor goes through it, and he didn't come out with 2 hearts.
They didn't do the Doctor.
They don't mention the 2-heart thing until Pertwee.
They didn't scan the Doctor.
Oh, I thought they would have.
No, so they should have, but it was one of those sloppy little writing things. So they did Jamie. They scanned him over and blah, blah, blah. He's got 1 heart and some muscle, but like probably minimal, whatever. Anyway, and so they like, okay, Toba says, okay, we scanned the other guy. He's like, no, he's going to be the same. like save energy. It was this whole like.
Oh, okay. Maybe I
They
blacked
didn't even
out on
bother
that part.
scanning him. Yeah.
But that's interesting though, because there's no I couldn't remember like, oh, when did they establish that the Doctor has two hearts? And it's John Pertwee in, I think, his first Spearhead from Space.
oh
Is
yeah.
I think the first mention of a Time Lord or a Gallifreyan or whatever having two hearts. So that's interesting. They like covered themselves without knowing they were
Yeah.
covering themselves. It was like
they
a
didn't.
retcon in the present. It's
But
a
it didn't matter because they
retcon.
weren't talking about the Doctor having two hearts.
No, but I'm saying like if they had done it the way you think, they would scan both of them and
Right.
would have said on
They would have.
on the show that he has one heart, but someone went back in time and then like shot that scene and said we don't need to do the Doctor to allow, right? Robots. No, Dan, I don't know.
I don't know what just happened.
I don't know.
Eric
I don't
just
know.
short-circuited and tried to do a time loop where he was retconning a thing that didn't need to be retconned. But that's cool. Maybe it needed to be, and now he did it, so we don't know that it needed to be done.
And then Zoe's great in this, right? So they
Yeah.
spend so much time moving rocks, a lot of rock moving, and then they're very like, you know, doing data and saying, oh, tell me when they're gonna collapse and blah 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 blah, and then they
she's
get
the
the data
strongest.
back and they're like, no, it's not the guy that's the most resilient, it's this young woman. Oh, interesting. And then later, when he has to pick like the ones he wants to keep, for some reason he gets rid of Zoe and he takes the other two. It's like, what are you doing with all your data? Why are you collecting that data if you're not going to keep Zoe? Zoe should be the one that you do keep.
Yeah, I mean, it was that, and like we just said about not scanning the Doctors. I really hate when it's just a plot convenience where they're like, oh, it's fine, we won't do that thing, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's weird.
It's the same thing with Zoe. They just needed to move different characters around. You know, something that bothers me in this one, again, I also feel like it could have been one part shorter. We had so much. You mentioned the sitting around in the council and talking
Yeah.
back and forth
Yep.
and just flapping their gums. There was also the running around in the quarry for minutes on end.
Yes.
You got back and forth between the War Museum that was like a house that was blown up.
Oh,
like
God,
that's the
all the
only
War
set.
Museum stuff.
But it's the only set they go back and forth to. It's that one, the ship, the bunker underneath the War Museum. Like that's it. Like it's a whole planet, or at least a whole island on this planet, and this is like one of 3 locations we see. We see where the TARDIS is,
Yeah.
the ship.
There's not a lot of
There's
locations. And
nothing
you
going
said
on.
how you
and
like.
just kept going back and forth like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned liking the sets and whatever.
The production design.
Production
overall.
design. This for me, and this is Doctor Who. So like,
Right. Grading on a curve.
yeah. But for me, this was the first time I really remember seeing like seam lines in the matte backgrounds or ripples in the backgrounds where
Yes.
where I mean, I'm sure maybe it's because I was so at that point I was like, I really don't like the story, so I'm starting to pay attention to those details. But there's certain times where you're like, oh, the lights are hitting that wrong, as you can see.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that is of that era.
Yeah.
I've noticed that in many other stories. I think it's interesting to me because we've been doing more of the modern classic Who. That when we come back to this era, you know, we did some Hartnell as well, but the amount of work that Black and White does to kind of cover the sins of the production design, like it just. Even when things are chintzy and you know they're done on a budget, the Black and White kind of covers up a bunch of that.
Yeah, it helps.
So it
definitely
really makes it feel.
easier.
So some of the models were pretty good. Some were not so great. Some of the sets looked really good, but like you mentioned, some of the the ripples in the background, like that really bothered me
so
for some reason a lot.
you picked up on that as well. I
Oh
guess.
yeah. But I love the design inside the control room, inside the spaceship. I mean, it was very silly and of the era, but you have like huge circuit board patterns on the walls, and you have all these flashing and blinking lights that are like. I actually really liked the way that was designed.
He was fine, and I did like the Dominator outfit, even though it's like
It makes
kind
no
of
sense,
silly
but
because
yeah.
it's like a Batman cowl where you can't like look.
There you
can't
go.
turn your head because you're very much going forward, and their whole dynamic was kind of interesting.
It was great. It was very will they, won't they? Like very Sam
Yes,
and Diane.
there's like
very,
some tension definitely going on there.
Yeah, I think there's a backstory that we should read in the novelization about it.
Yes.
That really explains why they have that relationship.
The old
dig
Doctor Who After Hours,
deep into that one.
Doctor Who Nights. To more of my anti-Troughton stuff.
Please.
I also
This is what people
didn't
are here for.
like when he's coming up with, and this is near the end, when he's building bombs. Right? And he's like, add this powder here, and then make sure you throw it in 5 seconds. And then he, like, forgets.
I know.
And it just makes him, like a
he's-
bumbling... more it's like the Anakin Skywalker in Phantom of the Menace. Like, what's this button do? And, like, so, like, he's just sort of bumbling through, and it works for him, like a Mr. Magoo type. Versus, like, a guy or whoever who's, you know...
a character
a
actually
hero,
has that
someone
sort of-
that's like, you know, has complete agency and knows what they're doing, and something they oscillate back and forth between him being like that and then him really being, you know, outsmarting people and playing three-dimensional chess. It's, you know, I don't know, it's fine.
Right. No, I take your point. I mean, he does say that in the beginning. Right. This is something that Troughton does as a characterization throughout his run. In this story, though, at least, he tells Jamie to kind of act stupid whenever they're doing the intelligence test because a dumb enemy is less dangerous than an intelligent one. So he does a lot of that,
right.
which is a different thing than what you're saying. This was when he's mixing the powders and do the thing. You have 10 seconds. Then Zoe has to say, like, it would have been great if he just blew off a couple fingers because he forgot. He would learn his lesson.
And blew up Zoe's face, and she had to wear a bag over her head for the rest, and then she carries that with her, and then it's like a Fantastic Four situation where
Cosmic
Reed Richards
radiation.
feels guilty for what he did to Ben, and that's a thing going through their friendship. No, but yeah,
Wait,
to
what?
your point, like, yeah, when they do a scene like that, and then the doctor's like, hey, no, this is all an act, then
Right.
it lets the audience in, and then you're like, oh, he really is a genius, and this is, okay, now I can buy that. But then when he does that same behavior again, and then he's not lying, it's like, well, which is the
Right.
character? Like, which what are we doing?
I have to remember that this is a children's show, and that some of that
I
is
guess.
for the kids, as it is supposed to be.
I just don't like the
a
whininess.
comedy.
If you could just cut out, because it fills me with like anxiety almost, and it's like, and he's like a child who's like, no, it's like, who wants that? I don't want that. Got no more of that.
This is why Eric hasn't talked to his kids in about 5 years. I don't want this.
Daddy is working. Anyway, Dan, what else do you have about this thing?
I don't know. I guess I hate it now that I talked to you about it. Oh, we didn't talk about the quarks.
I didn't like it.
The quarks
The
themselves.
quirks, I thought at first were cute.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, they're cute. And then very shortly after, I was like, they're very annoying. And why is anyone afraid of these, like, walking TV? Like, if you bought a TV, it would be shipped in one of these boxes, and they just spray painted it.
There was one shot. Yes, that's exactly what there's one shot of their head. I actually like the design of their heads. It looked like almost like a punk rock robotic chicken head thing that was like the spikes
like the
going on,
spikes
and
coming
all
out.
the little circly things that like. It looked kind of interesting from the right angle.
It
but
felt
overall,
like
I don't think it was
Japanese. Like, it felt to
Oh,
me
yeah.
like I'm trying to like Voltron, not the
Yeah,
Voltron we had, but like there was one before that was like 3 robots that stacked on top, but it had that like feel, or the Ultraman, or like any of those kind of things. It looked like a toy my dad would have bought me at the Englishtown auction that was not Voltron, but was in a box with crazy Japanese writing on it. For like
Voltron.
$3 off someone's table.
The fact that they just had the limitation of movement, that they kind of waddled wherever they went to, that they were pretty non-threatening except for their laser guns and power unit. But the whole conceit of the entire story of like, we have to conserve power, just
and they keep
neuter the character.
reminding you of that over and over
because
and over.
All you would be saying is, why the heck haven't you killed them yet? And like, there's even one when the Quarks are trying to shoot at Jamie and Cully when they're climbing up in the quarry to try to get away from them, and they're not that far away, and they're shooting laser beams at them and missing wildly. And the Quark has to say it's because their power's low, they can't aim well, because otherwise this just makes no sense.
No, and
I
that
guess
just
that's explanation
becomes
for,
like an easy fix for whatever the
Exactly.
situation is. And then I don't know. And even the stuff that he's constantly yelling at the guy because he's not letting people go.
Right.
But like, I don't know. Every time the people go, they're causing more situations. So the other guy's right. Just knock out these people. Like, I don't know. I didn't understand really their plan 100% either. Like, they're looking for slave labor, but they're also setting up these drilling things and.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So then,
And they're sending the slave labor back to their home planet so that they could use more robots wherever they are. But like, I don't know. Why not just use? I don't know. It's fine.
the fact that it was both that they needed to get the energy from the radiation that's on the planet and then turn the planet into a radioactive power source for them, and then on top of that also wanted slave labor. It's like, oh. Just why is it getting so muddled? Just pick a thing and
all
go with
the
that.
stuff with the radiation is also like another element you don't necessarily even need.
No.
But it's just there. I mean, it's like, I don't know. And
it was setting it up in the beginning so that there was the whole, no one's been on this planet for, almost 2 centuries because of the radiation, except for scientists and students coming to study it. And so,
right, but it's not like,
it's not
but
like, it wasn't that at all.
Yeah, but it's not like the planet is a war planet that kills itself from too much war, and then future generations become pacifists because of the Great War. It's like they were always pacifists because the Doctor knows them as this gentle people, and then they turn. They start doing nuclear
They just kept developing with their technology to the point where they could develop a weapon.
So it's not really like an act of war that causes this radiation. It's like they're just messing with the technology or something.
I'm trying to remember because I haven't been to that war museum since I went with my elementary school.
Yes, I know. And it's not that good.
About the history.
You got to go to the 5th floor first. Do the 5th floor.
Right.
That's where all the good stuff is. Right. And just make your way down.
And get to the cafe before lunch, otherwise you'll never get a table. So you want to get there early. Fine. I don't know.
As far as museums go, that museum sucks. Like, there's one room, and it's just a gun and a map on the wall.
But a gun that actually works.
Yeah, no, it's still loaded.
That's the thing. That's the part that actually makes the museum fun, is you can actually shoot the gun.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just like an extra detail of like, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
It didn't have a really strong through line, or the through line wasn't well executed the whole way through. It felt, a little muddled to me. The fact that, I didn't really read it as like, you're pacifist and therefore you're dumb and you should be, strong, manly men instead. It was just, the dithering around, trying to make a decision instead of taking a course of action. All facts in front of you, you still choose to believe what you want to believe. That, okay, that's fine. But then you have the
that whole
Dominators
philosophy part was a little frustrating too, where they're like, we don't question facts, like whatever we see is true, and yet the guy keeps seeing stuff, but then he still doesn't believe it. Like, I don't know. It was
it was this kind of pointing out the faults of empiricism or something. I don't know what it was trying to get at. The fact that it wasn't all that clear, or maybe I'm just a dum-dum, it just makes me think it wasn't as executed as well as they had hoped. It's my guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all fine. It's all fine. I almost feel like all that stuff, they couldn't have made it a war planet to start with, because that would have showed you the consequences of war lead to a planet that's completely devoid of life.
But so really, it was just this island, right? It was just the island that was devoid of life on the planet. Yeah,
I guess. It's stupid. It was not my favorite.
This was not my favorite, but I honestly, like I said when we were watching it, I didn't mind it. It wasn't. There have been other stories where it's like there's just no physical way I'm going to get through this. This one was fine. It went down easy. It was fine. Yeah. I can't. I still though. This story is so distracting based on those costumes. So I know
the Dominator costumes?
No, the Dominator costumes I thought were good,
yes,
but like everyone else, the Dulcan costumes of clothing.
Yep,
the shower curtain tied up around the but then the women would wear one that was lower and wearing and see through.
Yeah. Now you look like a woman
under it. And it was just those. So Zoe had to run around with all the action that she had to do, wearing a unitard with like a nightie on top of it.
Yeah. Oh,
And
she
it just-
says,
I
doesn't
really
she say
hated
like
that.
it's not practical, or she
It's
said
not
something
practical,
like
rather-
she does.
yeah, exactly.
She gets dressed up in it.
But
And
then
that,
she
to
just-
me, that was the actress saying it to the director, and they were just ignoring her and they just shooting.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, ah, shush, just smile and look pretty, and she went with it. Yeah, just that's kind of
Yeah,
annoying.
this is
That really
definitely
bugged me a lot.
my least favorite Troughton story. I'm going through all the other Troughton stories we did. Mind of Evil was great. Mm-hmm. Right? He was Mind of Evil.
Yep.
I don't know. Whatever. It's fine.
Okay, we're gonna right now live rank all of the
think
Troughton
my
stories.
colors. I think our colors are wrong on our site. Right?
I don't know, Eric.
Monster of Peladon is Pertwee, but we have the Troughton color.
Are we leaving this all in the podcast? This is
No,
fascinating.
Troughton's supposed to be green. Hey, if you're at home right now and you're going through our thing, Mind
may have
of
screwed
Evil
up.
is Pertwee, not Troughton. Which is the Mind one?
Mind Robber.
Mind Robber. Thank you, Dan. That
That's what
one
you're
I
thinking
liked
of.
a lot.
That's the one I was thinking you were saying because you were talking
Yes,
about.
that's the one I was
about
meaning,
Troughton.
and Enemy of the World, where
Enemy of the
Troughton
World,
played multiple
yes.
people. That was
Probably
great.
the best one.
This
That was-
is now currently my least favorite Troughton story, and whoever said we had to do this, you're on the old enemies list. I keep
You're
it by my
on.
bed every night. It's one of
updates
the.
it
It's
nightly.
very. It's like a little cozy. And I've taken yarn, and that's how I link the pages together. And your name is now scrawled in my own blood. No, I'm just kidding. No, because you're going to
serious.
turn it around with the Crotons or the Croutons.
The Croutons.
That's coming next, as far as Troughton goes. Dan, what
Oh,
else do you
boy.
have to say about this one?
I've got nothing else to say. I think that was all that was important about it,
Yeah,
right?
we covered all the important bits. I
There
thought
were-
it stunk. Dan thought it was not as bad as the others.
Uh-huh.
And we're good.
We did it.
We did it. I can't think. Oh, yes, I have something else to say.
Oh no.
So all of the cliffhangers are kind of dumb. I can't think of anything that stands out as a good one. But the last episode ends on a cliffhanger with them still being on the island and isn't like they're about to be destroyed, and it ends. I thought that was weird. They
were
never
standing-
end that way.
They were standing right next to the TARDIS, so I don't think it was supposed to be
I
any
guess.
sort of like. I guess they're really in danger. I thought it was.
But again,
more,
it just-
was a,
once
it was
again,
another
it-
one of
it
those
feeds
bumbling
into-
doctor thing. Yes.
Yeah, Troughton being a dope.
Yep.
But I thought it was
That's-
weird that they ended on like as if like all of a sudden there's another episode or something, but it felt like weird the way it ended.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
found.
Yeah. I guess so. I didn't like the fact that you're right. It kind of made him again bumbling. Oh. we
Yeah,
got
like
off
you
the
don't
book.
like he's not very good at this.
Yeah.
Which I think is the read. I mean, that's what they're going for, is kind of like that kind of character. I just don't like that kind of character for the Doctor, having seen all these other variations of the Doctor.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's
All
all
right,
fine.
well,
Dan, did
So
any of our listeners...
bottom line is this is Eric's favorite story we've ever done, and we can call it quits because it's never gonna get better. I tweeted, as I want to do, that we were doing this story and got some responses that we will read right now. For all you new people that have never heard this show before, this is what we always do. So let's see. Michael replied, I don't see how they would have stretched it into 6 parts. Oh, okay. Well, I said to help us out, what should we be sure to talk about? What's your favorite part? What could have been scrapped so it was only 4 parts instead of 5? Just teeing it up right away. Michael says, I don't see how it could have been stretched into 6 part. That's
Yeah, I think it originally was going to be 6.
yeah.
God
and
help
it
us.
it shows. That said, it was the first Troughton story I saw, and it hooked me on the Doctor. Oh, interesting. Another Michael replies, that Sherwin didn't know how they could stretch it to 6, so they reduced it to 5. It really should have been 4. I totally agree there. So a little back and forth between the two of you guys there. Yeah, this one really just, if it had been, oh my God, I can't even imagine if it had been 6. I don't think I would have gotten through it. Anyway, that's great though. Thank you guys for having a little conversation there. Lucy McCall says, Quarks, lovely quarks with their little flappy arms and stompy feet. The flappy arms, I don't know why I kind of liked the weird offset arms that collapse into their body.
Yeah, it was
and when they're recharging, they just flap their arms back and forth.
They're ready to hug you. It's like,
you know what that? Yeah. It really did feel like. I know this predates it, but like Star Wars, and just like, let's just invent characters that we can sell toys of. Like, you could totally see this would have been a toy.
Well, not so much Star Wars as like Disney's Black Hole, or like the things that tried to make money off of Star Wars that were like, okay, let's
just throw anything we can at it. But it would have been a toy that you press the button and it lights up, but then to recharge it, the kid would flap its arms to recharge it again. Like, it totally felt like it. Anyway, I'm gonna make that.
They thought enough about like, well, how do the arms fold in? And someone next to it's like, who cares? No, I gotta overthink this and make sure it works.
Yeah. Going back to Lucy saying, and the dilemma of a society that settles conflicts with slightly touchy arguments when faced with enemies that won't play by their rules. We didn't talk about the Dominator captain going to the capital city and just smoking a guy. Just completely.
A lot of people get killed. Again, we talked about in the beginning, it opens with those characters that we get to know, kind of, and all of a sudden they're all dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting.
And they were traveling in that capsule that was like a little, like, drawing room, like a little parlor.
Yeah.
It was like egg-shaped, sort of. And it was a very straight, like, weren't there like plants and ivy? It was a very Greek sort of, I don't know, influence on the design of their culture. Anyway, fine, great. Very strange. So, and Lucy finally says, and Brian Cant in a shower curtain. Yep, they were all wearing shower curtains. It makes you think the Carol Burnett Gone with the Wind parody, where she uses actual window curtain with the rod still in it. Anyway, forget it.
I don't remember that.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it was I loved that one. Carol Burnett doing,
sure.
And it still had the rod in it, and it was a dress that was designed by Bob Mackie for the show.
There you go.
Incredible.
Dan is a super. We should do the Carol Burnett.
We are going to do that next. Welcome to the Burnett Cast. Fraser Gregory says, where to begin with the title characters? Rago and Toba are a great pairing. The sparring between the two of them makes for some great tension and helps pad the story out somewhat. Yeah, when you're trying to find ways to pad a story, you've gotten too much. Still, again, 6 parts. We were spared. Interesting that they would have gotten away with it if Rago had only let Toba be an asshole. Seriously,
let Toba be Toba.
Right. That's why you hired the guy. You hire good people and you just let him go. Fraser continues. This is a multi-part thread here. The quarks are mint, classic designed in another universe. Heisman and Lincoln didn't fall out with BBC and made a fortune from them, and wrote half a dozen other stories which were also classics to join Web of Fear, if only. Goes on to say, the Dulcians are far from dull. They're fascinating. We've seen pacifists before, but the hubris of their society so evolved and superior, but unable to protect themselves from more savage invaders, is a hook in this story that needs appreciating more. I don't feel like it was really super well developed. It felt like we have an idea, but they didn't quite get the whole way there. That's just me. Didn't really feel it. Wow, I forgot how many tweets there are. Thank you, Fraser. Keep going. The best thing about the story, though, is the TARDIS team. You never think this was Patter's first run out as a companion. She fits right in, and Zoe's a breath of fresh air. I agree. Later, she's even better.
Whose first role as a companion?
This, I believe, Zoe's first time out as a companion.
This was her first companion?
I think she was introduced in the previous chronological story to this one.
Okay, but this is shot first? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I'm just reading a tweet that came at me. I didn't do any freaking research. Why would I? You have a really strange understanding of what it is I
like
do
Zoe.
for this
she
show.
Is great.
Anyway. Fantastic. So, what were we saying? Oh, yeah, we were saying this. Let's see. The show really belongs to Jamie Hughes' smarts not only once or twice, but 3 times to save the day, while also going full Rambo on the quarks with Arthur Cox. Pat and Fraser's chemistry could power the country in this one, but the story also shows how well the dynamics are now. Zoe and the Doctor get to talk science and suss out the Dominators' grand plan, while the Doctor and Jamie get to clown around pretending to be stupid. It's never less than engaging, when they're all on screen. Honestly, I don't know why people come down on this one. It takes all sorts, I suppose. Thank you for the deep thoughts, really digging into the entire story there. Really appreciate that. But, it's good to have that different point of view.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff that they said about Zoe, I think, was 100% true. All of her stuff was great.
You
I would have
literally
liked
just
her.
said you
I still don't
hate
like
her.
Troughton. I stated my case there.
Yeah, you sure did.
Wheel in
James-
Space, the preceding story, yes, is her first story.
There you go.
We did or didn't do. Can't remember.
We have
probably
done
did.
one. James H says that his favorite part is part 6.
I
Winky
guess we
face.
didn't do Wheel in
Favorite.
Space.
So yeah. So thank you, folks. I think. Do we have anything else?
Wait,
Yep.
I was talking about to myself
Yes.
about how we didn't do Wheel in Space, and I missed the very last sentence of that. Did they say their favorite part was part 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is funny. That's a little
Yeah,
funny.
I
It's a
got
little
it.
funny. Anyway, so thank you, folks, for replying and telling us what you thought about this story. Now that you know what we think about it, whenever the show comes up, let us know what we got wrong.
Yes.
Tell us what you disagree
Tell
with.
me. I'm sure I will hear from Troughton heads.
that if you do
I'm
reply
wrong.
and tell us that you think this story is great and here's why. Eric is going to put you on the enemies list. He's going to mark you as an NRA lobbyist.
We will also be making our. We will have to rank our doctors, Dan. I
we
feel
have
like
to
when
rank
the
our
show is
doctors?
over, we're gonna have to rank the classic Doctor Who doctors.
I mean, it's
on
not
the
gonna be
show.
It's not going to be much of a competition. I mean, we know that Colin Baker's going to be at the top, followed by Troughton.
Yeah, I think we're done.
That's it. There's the only 2 doctors that matter: Colin
That
Baker
is the
and
real
Patrick
twin
Troughton.
dilemma. Which one to choose?
You can only say one.
Yeah, we should do that. I think we should
Okay,
do that.
that's
Make
great.
a
We
mental
should do that.
note
Sure.
that we will rank the doctors, and you listeners write in and rank your doctors. Now, I would say
Hashtag rank your
we
doctors.
did the Doctor Who movie on this, so I think we need to include.
Oh, yeah.
Why am I blanking
Cushing,
on
Cushing.
McGann? No, McGann,
I
the
think
Fox movie.
McGann. Okay, we could definitely
Yes.
do the 8th Doctor.
And
but
I guess we have to put Cushing on there
we
too.
have to put Cushing in too. So
You're
rank
right.
your
So that's
doctors.
Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Dan, Sylvester McCoy, Paul, McGann, and Peter Cushing.
Look at you. Ooh, I'm Eric. I can name all the doctors in the right order. Whatever. I can't remember my own
I'm
name.
literally just reading the list from our schedule page. Not that I couldn't do that anyway, Dan. I've been doing this show for almost 8 years at this point.
18 years. All right. I think we did this. I don't.
I think
this
we're
story
done. I
needs
think
any
we're done.
more
We have a couple of other things to
flopper
talk
lobby.
about. One,
What are we talking about?
the old Doctor Who show is on TikTok. How
What?
long it'll be on TikTok? I don't
Not
know.
long.
Probably not
Not
that
long.
long.
Nope.
It's a lot of work. But TODW show on TikTok. I also have an account on TikTok, which is ES Grissom. So you should definitely follow me there.
The S stands for
I get
savings.
definitely getting more views there than I am on the Doctor Who account that I'm running. Twitter is eGrissom for me, and Instagram's eGrissom, but it's ES Grissom on TikTok. So follow me on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Dan, Dan's not on TikTok, so what are you gonna
I'm
do?
a passive consumer. I'm on the Twitters at DanJNJ, TODW show on the Twitter, Instagram, like Eric just said. We'll post the GIFs there. Please use them. Oh, shout out to World Enough in Time podcast. I believe it was them who went and used one of our GIFs on the Twitter.
Oh, yeah,
That's
thank
what
you.
they're there for.
They are
Maybe
a great
maybe
podcast.
At some point before we wrap this entire thing, or maybe after we've wrapped this entire damn show, I'll take a bunch of the best of GIFs that we like, and we'll put them on Giphy, and you can find them
Yes,
there.
that's what I'm
So you
waiting
can
for, because
reuse
Dan
them
does
there.
a lot of hard work, and it should be used by more people.
Absolutely.
That's what I
So
always
we'll
say.
figure out how that happens.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Eric? I think we're done.
No, I got nothing else to say other than, as always, you can get a copy of Goblin, middle grade graphic novel from me and an artist named Will Perkins. It's available for $15 US. You can find it wherever books are sold. That's your Amazons, your Barnes & Noble, your Targets, your wherever. your local
men's room
independent
at the bus
bookstore,
station.
the men's room. Go in the woods, move away those piles of old Playboys, and grab it out of the leaves. Because, friend, you're going to Adventure Town. Yeah, please buy it. The more people that buy it, the more time I have to put towards this show. Because it means I don't have to work and make websites and do wireframes.
Ugh.
Yep.
Okay, we're done. Goodbye, everyone. All right, next week is Colony in Space.
Good call,
week.
Dan.
We got
So
Joe
Colony
Grant.
in Space is next, and then Dan, we don't have that many after, right? We have 1,
don't.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's a lot. We got a
24
lot
weeks
more.
left. Yeah, so we have half a year. I guess
We'll be with you guys for the rest of our lives.
we're not going
All right.
anywhere.
Nope. All right, Eric. You have a
All
great
right.
day.
Peace. I was not recording.
As I walk through this wicked world, searching for light in the darkness of insanity, I ask myself, is all hope lost? Is there only pain and hatred and misery? And each time I feel like this inside, there's one thing I wanna know. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? And as I walk on through troubled times, my spirit gets so downhearted sometimes. So where I'd strong and who I'd trusted, and where is the harmony, sweet harmony? 'Cause each time I feel
Where's my robot? You know?